WASUradio.com. Download the WASU app. Say, Alexa, play WASU FM.
Okay.
From the George G. Beasley Media Complex and the Wayne L. Sumner Studios on any platform worldwide. This is Appalachian State University's 90.5 WASU FM. Boone.
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Gives it to Jenkins for the championship! And Baez sends it deep to left! Pagan is there at the wall and it's in the basket! He's got his J-back, folks, and the eye of the tiger! And the kick is blocked! Appalachian State has stunned the college football world! One of the greatest upsets in sports history!
It's time for Sports Wrap on 90.5 WASU FM.
That is right. You heard it from old sports director Garrett Davenport. It is time for Sports Wrap. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic week. A little wet out there, but hey, that don't mean you still can't have a great week. So Jason James here with you. Alongside me once again, we have Cooper Govero and Cody Blair. Fellas, happy Thursday. How are we doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. I lasted the 2 days from Monday to Thursday. We've got more football tonight, so that makes me happy, and just ready to talk sports on this rainy, kind of nasty Thursday night.
Yeah, doing well, fighting through the rain. I'm excited to talk about some of the things we got today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got some great things in store to talk about tonight, and you know, Boone weather never. Before we get started, Boone weather never ceases to amaze me. It's literally rained all week, and we're in October, and then going to turn on next week. It's gonna be in the 70s, I think, some days. So this Boone weather is crazy, and exciting time for me. This will be the last time sports wrap I ever do at the age of 21. So next Thursday when I be joining y'all, I'll be a new man age-wise. Another trip around the sun.
So that means I get to say this is my first sports wrap, and I'm 21. Hey, I'm legal now.
Yeah, I guess you can say that if I can say that.
Exactly.
Cody sitting over there doesn't have any idea what that is
19.
yet. But
okay, soon enough.
One day he'll know. Yeah, exactly. So as Cody mentioned, yeah, we've got a lot of great things this evening we want to talk about. Gonna talk some football. Gonna do some professional and college, and then we'll end the show. On a quick little recap just of baseball, the wild card round, and then the divisional rounds and our opinions on it. So let's go ahead and, I guess, get started with it. So Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson face off tonight to officially begin the new week of NFL football. And guys, these are two really phenomenal quarterbacks, historically and statistically both. What are you all looking for, I guess, in this game tonight?
Yeah, I look for a good matchup. Obviously, like you said, Matt Stafford and Russell Wilson are two top-tier quarterbacks. Right now, Russell Wilson has 1,000 yards on the season, and Stafford has 1,200, so he's got him beat there. 11 touchdowns, Stafford, and 9 to Wilson. Also, I've noticed, looking at some stats and stuff, that the Seahawks are a little bit better on the ground than the Rams. The Rams don't have as great a rush game. Actually, a yard more per carry for the Seahawks to the Rams. But obviously, as we know, Matt Stafford likes to sling it. So I look for Matt Stafford to get it to his receivers like Cooper Kupp and other weapons. Also, Henderson should be an interesting role tonight. I think these two teams are jockeying for second in the NFC West. They will be jockeying for second all year. And it's just really interesting to see. I want to see how Aaron Donald in that front line for the Rams get after Russell Wilson, because he's when he gets under pressure sometimes, he hasn't thrown an interception yet, which he did last year for a few games, and he looks really good. He's been sacked 11 times, though, so as compared to Stafford's 3. So we'll see how that defensive front looks, but I think it's going to be a great game. There's potential to be a lot of points scored here. Both quarterbacks know what to do with the ball. I just am interested to see if the Rams can run it as complementary as they can throw it, because Seattle can do both. So, yeah.
Yeah, 2 early MVP candidates at the helm tonight. Russell Wilson, the biggest stat for me is what you mentioned. He has 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Matthew Stafford looks like he's found his home where he can win a ring. The biggest story going into tonight is Chris Carson. Is he going to play? Because he got injured, and as you mentioned, they're definitely better on the run, Seattle. So that'll be huge to see if he plays or not. It's always tough to play in Seattle, but I like Jalen Ramsey and the Rams defense a little bit more. The Seahawks defense has kind of disappointed me this year. They haven't really played as well as I figured they would. If I were to put a score on it, I'm going to go Rams 24-14 tonight.
Yeah, no, I like what both of you said. It's been one of the biggest surprises to me has been the Seahawks defense. Seahawks are 2-2, I believe, and their defense is way underperformed. And then when you get a quarterback coming into town like Matthew Stafford, who Coop, you said loves to sling the football. Yeah, I've said from day one, if Detroit could have gotten Matthew Stafford some bigger names at receiver and some better targets at receiver, the Lions would have been good for the whole time he's there. Now he's back in his home state. He's got the receivers. He's got the guys that he can trust to throw the football, to catch the football, and make the plays that need to be made. And, he's found his home and really rejuvenated this Rams team in general.
Yeah, I'll say also, the Rams have actually had a pretty tough schedule. I mean, they played the reigning Super Bowl champs, and which I thought it was a really good game. They ended up getting beat in that game, but Stafford ended up getting sacked twice in that game. And what I noticed was, down the stretch, this team has trouble putting drives together late game, and we saw that against the Bucs. And the Bucs, Tom Brady, they were obviously able to win that game. But if they can sustain drives towards the end of the game, I know that they have a chance to win this game. I think it'll probably end up being close, just because we were dealing with 2 quarterbacks, like you said, that are in the MVP conversation. Quarterbacks that have playoffs and Super Bowl pedigree. All of these players. It's these 2 teams obviously right now are jockeying for second place in the NFC West, and they have something to prove. And it's Thursday Night Football; everybody's watching. So,
yeah, the Rams have a super tough schedule, playing the Bucs, then the Cardinals, then the Seahawks, and Seattle. But that's just going to be a part of being in the NFC West. I think there's going to be a lot of misleading schedules in that division this year, or records at the end of the season.
Yeah, the NFC West might just be the most this year might just be the most talented division in football from top to bottom. I mean, you've got 3 teams. Okay, I wouldn't say 3. I would say you've got 2 probably legit teams who can contend to win that title. Absolutely. In the Cardinals and the Rams. And it's, in my opinion, it's going to be them 2 probably duking it out all year for that top spot. And so this game's going to be exciting. The past couple of weeks we've had those teams, the weaker teams, i.e. the Jags and the Bengals, and then you had the Giants and I can't remember who.
Football team, I think.
Yeah. Football team. Okay, I couldn't remember. I thought it was, but I couldn't remember. But you've got, the teams who really don't get as much publicity and love, get to play on Thursday night, get the national primetime game. Now you get into primetime games with some pretty legit teams. Absolutely. And Russell Wilson's still going to be Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can move it downfield with his feet. He can move it downfield with his arm. And so it should be a great football game. I like the Rams in this game. I just don't think the Seahawks defense has what it takes to stop them. And I just think that the Rams defense is just too good to end up losing this game. It will be hard though in Seattle, but I definitely think the Rams have what it takes to go in there and to win. And my computer actually just shut off on me, so I don't even know what the next segment is. So
We got the favorite in the NFC West.
Okay.
Who are we thinking? Personally, I'm thinking it's a clear runaway right now. They're 4-0, the only 4-0 team, the only undefeated team in the NFL right now, and that's the Cardinals. There's a reason why they're 4-0. Not only do they play very complimentary football in the fact that they've gotten takeaways. Byron Murphy got a pick 6 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville. They have a lot of pieces that can win games for you in like 30 different ways. They've got Byron Murphy who can get a pick 6. They've got Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt who can get you a sack in crucial moments. They've got DeAndre Hopkins who will catch it over your favorite, everybody's favorite DB.
You can't forget Isaiah Simmons, though, too, on defense.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons, Buda Baker. I wasn't done. I mean, the names go on. These guys can create turnovers. They will create turnovers against your favorite quarterback. And then Kyler Murray, who's a running back as a quarterback. Honestly, he's had a rushing touchdown in each of his games this year. Kyler Murray is nothing to play with. He's a fantasy juggernaut. So, in terms of talent-wise, we know what they have. They've got a good running back core who's tandem, Connor and Edmonds. They can kind of go back and forth, and they are getting touchdowns. And hey, Kyler Murray can run with the football. He can improvise. So even if his line is not that great, Kyler Murray can make the most out of things. And I haven't seen anyone who can actually, even in the West, who will actually challenge them, aside from maybe the Rams, but they play twice. So even if they split games right now, the Cardinals are still on top.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said there. The Cardinals are my favorite. They're the only undefeated team left in the NFL. A.J. Green has been playing great. I was worried about him with Father Time, but he's been playing fantastic. And when you break down the rest of these teams, Seattle's been somewhat inconsistent. They can't seem to hold on to big games. We saw that against the Titans. We saw it in Minnesota. The Niners have looming questions over the QB situation right now. Jimmy G getting hurt. Trey Lance didn't play great, but it was his first NFL game. I'll give him a break there. But I don't love the way Kyle Shanahan's been kind of handling that situation. The team doesn't know who the starting quarterback is going to be each week, and that's going to be an issue for San Francisco. And then the Rams are right there, in my opinion, but it's hard to give them the division over Arizona right now after they just lost 37-20.
Yeah,
I think that I love this Cardinals team. They're interesting to me, just in the sense of the big turnaround that they had from last year. But really, when you think about it, there should have been 4 or 5 wins that they should have had last year that they didn't have. Down towards the end of games, leading and not lead, and then end up losing at the end, and then end up falling ultimately. You bring in J.J. Watt. And I was like, okay, this defense is going to be immediately rebolstered as soon as you bring him in. But I didn't expect him to really rebolster this whole team in general. I mean, he's, one of the biggest reasons why this team's turned around the way they have. And then I've also just got to apologize because I thought, when Kyler Murray chose football over baseball, I was like, that's a mistake. He's going to get crushed. And he's proved me completely wrong because he's gone out there and he's absolutely tore it up on the football field. I mean, the dude is so quick, and he can swing the football, and, it's fun to watch him play. It's hard for me to say the Cardinals. I want to say the Cardinals really, really bad. I really do.
And say it.
But, yeah, I know I should. But it's also at the same time hard for me to doubt Matthew Stafford and the Rams and what the Rams have. I like the Cardinals a lot. I think they're one of the funnest teams to watch in football. Got a ton of talent. Y'all mentioned everybody that I was going to mention. This team really is loaded, but we'll see. We're only 4 weeks into the season, so I mean, we're just basically just getting started. There's still a lot of football left to play, but if the Cardinals keep it up like this, I think it could end up being a good thing for them. But I think Sean McVay, when it comes down to it, I think Sean McVay can better prepare his team and get them ready to go out and win a division championship over, which I'm not bashing Cliff Kingsbury at all. He's done a fantastic job in Arizona, but it's hard for me.
Well, I'll bring one thing up, and there's a big question surrounding the Rams right now, and it's the inconsistency or the lack of consistency from their running game. Darrell Henderson, what's he doing? And also the lack of production from Robert Woods. So right now you basically have one receiver who is consistent for you, and that's Cooper Kupp. That is your wide receiver one right now, and it was supposed to be Robert Woods. Last year he had a really good year, but the consistency issues are just jumping off the page to me. And their loss of Gerald Everett, their great tight end, they lost him. So now I don't know how much production they're getting from their tight ends right now, but I don't think it's very much. It's just, that's a big question hanging over their head right now is, how consistent can they be, running the ball? We know how Cooper Kupp can catch the ball, but Robert Woods, he's been a mess fantasy-wise. If you have him, I'm sorry, I apologize. That was probably not a great choice, but you didn't know because he was so consistent. But it's a big question mark that the Cardinals don't have. They don't have a loss. They don't have any consistency questions.
They get two really good receivers.
They
still.
do. And the emergence of Max Williams, Max with 2 X's, the tight end, the emergence of him, he's already had 2 touchdowns, I think, this year. He's explosive. He's a great blocker. The emergence of him as well, like you didn't even need another weapon, and you got another weapon. So they're too powerful on offense. I don't think right now, if those questions can be answered in the next few weeks, we have a whole nother conversation because the Rams are legit contenders. If Robert Woods climbs out of this hole that he's in, if Darrell Henderson figures out how to run the ball effectively again, then we're having another conversation.
Well, like I said, it's early, so I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, 5-6 weeks down the road.
Yeah. But as for now, it's the Cardinals in a runaway, but things could change. So
yeah. I think that all these questions are going to be answered pretty quick with any of these NFC West teams because the division is so tough. Yeah. There's not going to be any fluke wins. Questions will get answered quick.
Yeah, and, Father Time is undefeated, but, A.J. Green has found a new home and is playing well. Plus, you got D-Hop, one of the best receivers in the league. Mm-hmm. And so, they're like you said, Coop, they're loaded with talent. But like I also said, everything inside of me wants to say the Cardinals just because I'm impressed with how they played so far this year and the talent that they have on both sides of the football. I mean, you can go on and on and on, but it's hard for me to bet against the Rams right now. Now, that might change in a couple weeks when we come back, but as of now, it's hard for me to bet against the Rams. I mean, it's just unfortunately the case. I mean, I've said from day one, you get Matthew Stafford some help, and he'll tear it up. So we're going to move on. I want to kind of change gears, I guess. I like to talk about the teams really that have underperformed, I guess you could say. But, now I want to kind of move into a different little topic and just talk about what teams do you all feel are under the biggest pressure to win this week?
The first team, and I think everybody is probably going to say this, and it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs need to win because right now they're sitting at the bottom of the AFC West, which is something they haven't done in a very long time. They're a dynasty. That's what they call it. What it is. They're a dynasty. They have been for the past few years, and now coming off of a loss, coming off a win, but they lost to the Chargers, which hurts them because they're already a game down in the division. So they are sitting fourth comfortably, not comfortably, but they've got to win some games. They're coming up against the first-ranked defense in the NFL with the Bills this Sunday night. So that should be a really interesting game. But that's a must-win game for them. If they want to show everyone, I believe, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I believe that they have the ability to go and do it like they did in 2020. But they need to show everyone else why they're still the best team in the NFL or good enough to compete with the Buccaneers. Because right now, you've got to win against the Eagles that looks okay. You've got a loss against the Rams on a Sunday night that really could have went either way because Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that fumble late game really lost them the game. But, you got the barely win over the Browns in Week 1, which was a really good comeback win. But that Chargers loss in Arrowhead really sticks out to me. So they got to climb back now. The Chiefs they've got the Bills, they've got Washington, and they've got the Titans in the next 3 weeks. So to me, 2 winnable games in this Bills game is going to be tough. So, yeah.
The Chargers are a pretty solid football team,
they are.
though,
No, they are. It's just, Chiefs, Chargers, Chiefs. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, the Chiefs are one of my team, and I definitely agree with what you're saying when you say they need to show the league that they're the best team in the NFL. And I think they have the opportunity to win a huge statement game. Sunday Night Football, people are watching, and the Bills have been dominant in the last couple weeks. If they can go in and beat the Bills, that'll be huge. But another one of my teams were the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are 0-4, and one of my goals for them this season was just to make games tighter. They were last in the league in point differential. They're still at the last. They looked almost uncompetitive at the beginning of the season. Trevor Lawrence has struggled. Last week, they blew a big game against the Bengals when they were up by 14 at half. Urban Meyer didn't fly back with the team, which is unheard of for a coach and other stuff we don't have to get into. But Meyer came in to fix the team and bring some press around Jacksonville, and he's definitely brought press around Jacksonville, but none of it has been good. They're a couple losses away from becoming a joke if they're not already, and Meyer being fired. And unfortunately, their next game is against the Titans, which is a tough game.
You know, it's funny. Trevor Lawrence has lost more football games in the NFL in 4 weeks than he lost in all of high school and college. That's insane to me. And you know, that situation right now with Urban Meyer and the team in general is a mess. You know, people are all. One of the things my parents have always taught me is people are watching. You know, no matter whether you think they are or not, they're always watching. So you always got to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time, making the right decisions. I think, you know, I'm going to go a different team than what you two went. Now, I do think the Chiefs need a win bad, really bad. And, you know, their defense has not performed nearly the way that I thought they would perform again this year at all. Their defense has really been a disappointment at times. But one of the things that Patrick Mahomes said the other day that I really liked was you don't win conferences in October. You know, you don't win your division in October. You know, you got to take it week by week. And, you know, luckily, you know, 4 weeks in, there's still a lot of time. Like we said, there's still a ton of time to turn it around and win that division. But I'm gonna go with the Patriots. And, you know, the Patriots right now 1-3 overall. They bring in Mac Jones. They swore up and down that Mac Jones was gonna, you know, lead them to more wins and compete for a division title more than Cam Newton, but we see that's not true. Different conversation, different time. But I think everybody at this point knows how I feel about the whole Cam Newton situation. But I think that, you know, there's all this hype about Mac Jones. I mean, Mac was talked about a lot in the offseason, a ton. And, you know, this team now is at 1-3. They did have a chance, you know, there at the end. Mac Jones played well against the Bucs. They had a chance to win that game in New England. Unfortunately, it didn't fall their way, but I think the Patriots cannot afford to go 1-4. I think they have to win this week. I think it's a must-win for them, just more than anything, just to rebuild their confidence. You know, I think that they're in dire need of a confidence booster, and you know, we'll see if it happens this week or not. We don't know. That's the beauty of the game. You play to win the game, like Herm Edwards says, you know. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I think that, you know, every team that we mentioned are all four teams that really need wins bad.
No, I had one more team that I had circled, and it's a team that has been a dynasty in the AFC North for a long time. And their quarterback is just getting old, and that's the Steelers. The Steelers have been unable to really produce anything on offense. They've let games get away from them. They have a pretty decent defense. They have a very good defense. They just paid T.J. Watt a lot of money. So I think they have the makings to still be good. Because, I mean, they won 11 games in a row last year before they eventually, you know, fell and started losing some games and then lost in the first round to Cleveland. But to me, this team screams potential. We still know what Ben Roethlisberger is capable of. He's missing a lot of passes. That's a big thing for him this year to focus on. Is his completion percentage is way down historically, and it's just a team that really they're worse than Cincinnati. And I would never imagine myself saying that, ever. The Cincinnati is better than Pittsburgh. Never in a million years. But right now, Cincinnati is a better football team than Pittsburgh. But I have a feeling that it is still early yet. They're probably working some, because, you know, Deontay Johnson is now vying for that wide receiver 1 spot, as is Chase Claypool, as is Juju. So you've got 3 guys who really could be a wide receiver 1. if they were catching passes, but I think they just need to get on the same page. You got Najee Harris, who's a rookie, who has a lot of potential. That Steelers team has potential, but they just kind of suck it up.
Their offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, they lost Alejandro Villanueva, a really good left tackle, to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But and in the past few years, they've lost, David DeCastro, the Pouncey brother. I think it's Maurice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. No, they have a bad offensive line, and it's showing.
Yeah.
But
they.
yeah.
Yeah, the Steelers have a league's worst rushing yards with 55 yards a game on the ground. That's horrible.
I believe, actually, funny you said that. I believe Najee Harris actually currently has more receiving yards than he does rushing yards.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's got more receiving yards than he does actually. And
he's a running back, guys.
And that's just, putting him out in the flat and throwing it to him out in the flat as a check down receiver, So we got to get rolling. I just got informed that we had to cut the show short tonight, about 10 minutes short. So we've only got about 20 minutes, give or take 25 minutes before we got to go. So we're going to take a quick break really fast, but don't go anywhere. We've got some college football coming up next. You're listening to Sports Wrap presented by Eggers, and Eggers, located at 814 King Street right here in Boone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
People. They make up one of the top industries in Watauga.
Thursday. I guess every
the beholder.
I guess every vertical day is a beautiful day when you really think about it, So I mean, we'll say a beautiful day even though it's rainy and yucky outside. But if you're just tuning in, thank you for joining us. We just ran through some NFL stuff, and as I said, we've only got about 20 minutes left in the show. It unfortunately does have to get cut a little early tonight. So I want to dive right go ahead and jump into college football now. Coastal and Arkansas State tonight will play in Arkansas to start off Sunbelt play, I guess, for the week. And then App takes on Louisiana on Tuesday. They had a 10-day hiatus. Kind of odd for App to play on a Tuesday night, but they do have about 10 days off, so good time for preparation. So, fellas, real quick, what does App have to do to continue to win this football game and continue this streak they're on right now?
I think App needs to do what they are really good at right now, and that's run the football. Run. You've got Cam Peoples and Nate Noel, who we saw in that call against Marshall. We called that game, and one thing I saw was, if it's not broke, do not fix it. Cam Peoples had 3 touchdowns in that game, and Nate Noel had, I think, over 150 yards in that game rushing. It's too soon to say that we can't fix anything because I think our defense is getting better. As games go by, I think our defense is getting better. We're getting better in the ends of games because we had to come back in that Marshall game. So I think keep running the football. You've got a really good receiving core. Chase Bryce looks pretty good. I saw a few passes that could have been caught that he threw incomplete in that Marshall game, but for the most part, he looked really good. His consistency with connecting with his receivers looks really good. And that defensive line, they didn't do as great as I thought they would. With Big DT, Demetrius Taylor, Jordan Earl, Caleb Spurlin, those names. That's that big defensive line that we've got beef. And I mean, they can just push people around and get to the backfield. Also, guys like T.D. Roof. Guys like Sean Jolly, guys, obviously, we're going to get to him, but DeMarco Jackson, I think he speaks for himself. I don't think we need to say anything about that. DeMarco Jackson speaks for himself. And, it's like I say all the time, we play really good complementary football, and I think our special teams is getting better as well. But, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your point about hammer the run. And to add to it, Louisiana ranks 184th in college football in rush yards allowed. So hammering the run, that game plan is right up our alley. It should work perfectly for App. And then another thing is something that we talked about in prep for the Georgia State game. They have to play 4 quarters. It was another slow start against Georgia State, 14-6. Not stepping on the gas until the second half isn't going to work against a team like Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I agree. And, it really seemed like finally the App started to play a full football game. It's still missing some stuff, but it was a good, I guess, tune-up game, if you will, quote-unquote, against Georgia State. Chase Bryce going 20-28. And, you mentioned it, Coop, and Nate and Cam both are actually, Cam is still out with the injury. Nate got injured in the first half. So now, we're down to 2 running backs in the running back room, Anderson Castle and Jameer Smith, and still 2 absolutely great running backs. And Anderson Castle can swing the football in case Ponce, wants to run a little trickery or whatever. But yeah, no, I agree. I think you got to stick with the run game. I think you've got to run the ball, get the ground attack going early and often. When we played just up the road, up the top of the hill in Kid Brewer last year, it was a very, very sloppy football game. But the weather was terrible too.
I believe it was raining, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was raining. It was very cold, but still, I mean that's no excuse to end up not coming out winning that football game. So yeah, I think you've got to run the football, establish the run game early, establish it often, attack them where they're weak at. And, like Cody just said, they're 184th in the nation in rush defense. So attack them where they struggle. And then, on defense, just continue doing what you've been doing all year, really. I mean, this defense, bend, don't break mentality. Did a great job against Georgia State, shutting them down offensively. And so, I think you got to continue rolling with both of those right there. So we're going to roll it on, I guess, now. Coop, you mentioned it a few minutes ago. DeMarco Jackson, now it's pretty crazy stat, is second in the nation in Division I in tackles. And he was actually named the Sun Belt Player of the Week last week, and also is on a very prestigious linebacker award watch list for the best linebacker in the nation, and rightfully so. I mean, he's clearly one of the best linebackers in the nation. Do you all think, and this is just opinion based, do you all think this is the best player on the football team?
I mean, I think defensively, yes. I think the best player on the team is probably when he's fully healthy and running downhill is Cam Peoples. But DeMarco Jackson makes a case for absolutely. I think, honestly, it's him and Cam Peoples. I think he has a very good chance of being the best football player on this team, and it's not even close. But like you said, I've seen one thing that I've seen from DeMarco. I saw it a few times. The tight end for Marshall, I'm blanking on his name right now. I saw 2 or 3 routes where DeMarco was guarding out in the flat, right? And DeMarco has a trouble in coverage. He's not a very great coverage linebacker. He actually gave up a touchdown on the first play that he was lined up on the tight end for Marshall. So he's great in everything, but his coverage, he's a bigger guy. So, bigger coverage linebackers aren't that great. So, but, I mean, obviously, the numbers don't lie. I mean, I'm not going to argue with the numbers. He's amazing. The guy is definitely the best player on our defense, without a doubt. It's just a little bit better on coverage, but that's nitpicky. Obviously, it's an opinion. It's nitpicky, but I can't say anything bad about the guy.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the middle on like Cam Peoples and DeMarco Jackson. It's hard, I guess, to compare like a running back and a defensive player of any type. But DeMarco Jackson absolutely makes a case for it. He's got 4 sacks on the season. I think, 31 total tackles or solo tackles, I think it is. He's the most talked about guy on the football field every single time App State plays. So can't take that away from him.
Yeah, every offensive coordinator knows where number 52 is at all times. I think I agree. I think you can make a case that he's one of the best football players on this team. But really, you think about it, there's a lot of great talent on this team, offensively and defensively. The two, you all threw Cam in there. Thomas Hennigan's really, really good football player. Chase is a really good football player. Nate does a great job. Sean Jolly really hasn't done as well as I thought he would. But, and like I said, it's still early. And, T.D. Roof does a good job back in the secondary. Caden Smith will be back fully healthy. So there's a lot of good talent on this team. So want to move, I guess, now out of App State football and look into the Red River showdown. So the Red River rivalry is finally this week. Texas this year, for the first time in a while, finally looks like they might potentially have somewhat of a chance in this football game. What are y'all's thoughts on this matchup? Who do you like? What are you looking for? That kind of thing.
Well, this is a little biased. I'm a lifelong Longhorns fan, so I've seen the ups and the downs, obviously, through the years. They've been bad the past few years. And my question mark, I've got a big one, like a very big, bright question mark above it, and it's, who is the best quarterback on this team? Is it Casey Thompson or is it Hudson Card? I mean, Hudson Card has obviously been getting the chunk, but also Casey Thompson, who's been playing a lot. We have a great running back in Bijan Robinson. He's got 652 yards on the season and 7 touchdowns. He's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. So Bijan Robinson is running behind a pretty good offensive line. Obviously, those numbers don't lie. But my question is, because we know teams in the Big 12 aren't great at defending, right? So can Oklahoma defend against Bijan Robinson? But also, on the flip side, can Texas take down Spencer Rattler and company? Because I'm sure you're going to say a lot of stats about Oklahoma's offense because they are obviously deserving of it. But like I like to say, in rivalries, and particularly this one, records go out the window. This is pure hatred. Like, these teams have hated each other since before our grandparents were born, right? So that stuff goes out the window. This team is finally good enough to actually compete against Oklahoma. Doesn't matter what rank Oklahoma is. Great, cool, good for you. But Oklahoma obviously is going to be favored in this game, I believe. I don't know what the exact over-under is, but Oklahoma's going to be favored. But that doesn't mean a darn thing. That doesn't mean a darn thing, because Texas will come to play, whoever it may be, Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, whoever does end up playing the majority of the game or playing the game. Really depends, but I just really like Texas in this one, and I cannot see any other way.
Nice catch right there, by the way. Nice catch. Caught yourself.
I think both of these teams are having a disappointing season so far to their standards. I expected both to be better. Oklahoma's undefeated, but I'd say they've had even more of a disappointing season because, the game against Tulane is mentionable. But then on Texas' side against TCU, I don't know. I expected Texas to play better against TCU.
They're still 4-1. They lost to Arkansas.
They're 4-1, but they lost against Arkansas, which is fine,
Arkansas is a top
right?
10 team.
That's
right?
understandable.
Yeah.
But I expected better, against TCU. I don't know. Maybe I expected
Texas
more.
Tech 70-35.
Absolutely, but
Rice,
but in a lot of these games, I don't know. They don't look like how I expected Texas this year to actually be back. I was hoping that they'd be from 10 to 15. I might have expected a little bit more than you, But that's what I was hoping for. I think in this game it'll come down to talent, and Oklahoma might outpower them a little bit. My biggest thing is, like, the Longhorns have a great rushing game, as you mentioned, but Oklahoma has a defense that's set for that. They only allow 80 rushing yards a game. It's going to force Texas to pass the ball, and if there's questions about quarterback issues, it might play a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson really is very, very underrated running back, I feel like. I mean,
Yes.
he's a great running back for Texas. He does a phenomenal job running the football. And then, Casey Thompson actually started that Texas Tech game and played pretty well for him. This is... I like what you said, Cody, about the standards. I think that the standard is set obviously higher for Oklahoma just because of the national recognition that they've gotten. Texas, you set a standard. That standard gets thrown out the window just about every year. I mean, you set the standard, they never meet it. So I feel like there's more pressure on Oklahoma to win this game than there is Texas, because everybody's saying, Oklahoma is the second ranked number 2 in the nation beginning of the year.
Yeah, they were the favorite to win the title.
And now they're 6th in the nation. And so Oklahoma's really been disappointing this year on offense and defense. And I've said from day one that there's no way Oklahoma is going to be one of the best teams in the nation. Absolutely no way. And I still believe that. This game should be fun to watch just because it always is. But I think there's more pressure on Oklahoma just because they need, a big win. They won at Kansas. They beat Kansas State last week for the first time in 3-4 years, I think it's been.
Yeah.
So I mean, they finally beat a Kansas State team, struggled against Tulane, and then as soon as that game was over, it was like, oh crap, this Oklahoma team might be in trouble. And so we'll see. It's gonna be a fun game to watch
because Texas, by their standards this year, 4-1 is great. I mean, because Texas has been okay in the past few years, but 4-1 is no slouch. I mean, the combined record of the teams they've played so far, when they played them, is 11-4. So that is absolutely no slouches. They won 58-0, 70-35. They're not struggling to score points at all. And they played I believe Arkansas was ranked number 8 when they played them, 8th or 11th. And so
what was the
I don't
score
think
in that game?
40-21. So. Yeah. But that was expected. Arkansas was favored in that game. That was at Arkansas. I actually am a closet fan of Arkansas. I think they're criminally underrated. But either way, that loss is an okay loss. You're not like scratching your head. Oh my God, why did they lose that game? No, they should have lost that game. And I'm a Longhorns fan, but. Overall, they're already 2-0 in the Big 12. This says they're first, so I don't think there are any slouches, obviously, and they've improved dramatically from years prior. So I get that Oklahoma is obviously the favorite here, but I think, I don't know. I think we're going to all be surprised, or I won't. But
I've got a friend back home that I've been friends with a long time. His name's Landon Johnson. But anyways, Landon's he's a big Texas fan, and I really probably should ask him how he felt about this season just to get it from another Texas fan perspective, but I didn't think about that till just now. So anyways, we're going to move on. Another one I wanted to mention was just, and I wish we could talk about it, but, I really want to talk about some baseball for a few minutes at least. Iowa and Penn State, that one's definitely going to be a fun game. Two teams that have played great football so far this year, and they'll get to duke it out on prime time. So that's going to be a fun one to watch. Those would be two games that I would definitely keep my eye on. And I'll throw in the third one, BYU. BYU's now ranked 10th in the nation. They play at home on Saturday at 3:30. So there's 3 football games right there for you to watch to fill up your day. So I want to end the show tonight. Just talking, a little baseball. And Coop, I know you don't know a ton about baseball, but I feel like it should be talked about just because of the time that we're in right now. So the wild card round is now officially over. 2 different sides of the spectrum as far as games is concerned. Had a great ending to a game last night compared to a really pathetic ending Tuesday night. So now we get into the divisional round. The divisional round's finally set. So, what are you all's thoughts, I guess, of that first round?
I think we're going to get to it here. I don't want to make you guys too upset. We got two sad Yankees fans in the room. Obviously, what we know from the Yankees side of things, you guys will touch on. That's unfortunate. I'm not a Yankees or a Red Sox fan. I'm an Astros fan, and currently, I wanted to get this in there. The Astros are up 6-0, top 7 right now. So
yeah, that game's over.
Yeah, the game is over.
That game's over.
Yeah, so the Astros are winning that first game. That makes me happy. But as I sit here and look at the Dodgers-Cardinals game, outside looking in, I expected that, obviously, Dodgers to beat the Cardinals. And
105 win team, you know.
Yeah, no, obviously, but still. There are a lot of things to look at in this playoffs. Even though the Astros are up right now, I think the White Sox are still a really good team. There's no doubting that. And this is not a one-game series, so that should be very interesting. And now the Red Sox play the Rays, right? So I think that's also going to be a very interesting series as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about the Dodgers some. I definitely agree. A great fight by the Cardinals, but I expected the Dodgers to win. Mm-hmm. And then another disappointing and frustrating end of the season for the Yankees. And I want to talk about Aaron Boone for a second. After the game on Tuesday, Boone said, quote, "The league has closed the gap on us. We've got to get better in every aspect," end quote. The league has closed the gap on us? What gap? What gap are you talking about? The last time the Yankees made the World Series was when we won in 2009. The Kansas City Royals have more playoff wins than the Yankees in the last decade. What gap is there? Because last I've seen, we haven't been exactly on top of the league in the last 10 years. And if we're talking about a historical gap when you say they've closed the gap on us, who is us? Mm-hmm. Boone got hired to a Yankees team in 2017 that had a great young core and was one game away from the World Series. Mm-hmm. Since then, we haven't gotten to that point. The last time a manager was hired by the Yankees and was given a 5th year after not winning a ring in the first 4 was Miller Huggins, and 99 years ago. So I'll leave you with that.
1922. Yeah. You know, I said it some yesterday. This has been the most irritating season for me as a Yankees fan. The offensive inconsistencies absolutely made me so mad. And and the biggest reason why is because you've got some of the biggest names in baseball on your team, and you lose in a wild card round that you should have won. You're paying a guy $325 million to pitch in games like what was pitched in Tuesday night. You brought him in for those games, to win those games, and then he goes out there and just gets rattled and didn't have it from the first inning on. And I will say I'm glad Boone took him out in the 3rd inning, just because it gave us, some time to, new pitchers, see new faces. Clay Holmes pitched well for us. Sevy came in and pitched well. Chad Green pitched well for us in relief. But our offense was just so stagnant in times when it didn't need to be. And it was frustrating. Good news is, I guess, in a way, it's, now you go into the offseason, you got a lot of things you got to figure out. You got to figure out the shortstop situation. You really need a center fielder. Probably could stand to have some more a better starter, as in, Marcus Stroman, who's really showed some interest in signing with the Yankees, and I'd love for them to go get Corey Seager or even Carlos Correa. As much as I despise Carlos Correa, I think he'd do a good job for the Yankees at shortstop. But this team has just been frustrating. I'm still up in the air on if the Yankees re-sign Boone or not. And you've got to go out in free agency and be aggressive. I mean, and I'm not just talking about baseball. I'm talking about any sport in general, especially when you're a team like the Yankees, or a team like, a team that's got a huge legacy for being dominant. And our front office just hasn't done that at all. So it wouldn't surprise me if Boone is gone, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if he was brought back.
Yeah, it's also a Brian Cashman issue. General manager not willing to go after guys.
No, yeah.
Would you two Yankees fans say that the Yankees are asleep at the wheel, so to speak, right now? Would you say they're asleep at the wheel?
Absolutely.
There's no urgency at all this year on offense. None.
We get Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo and kind of say, okay, we're set. But the issue is we don't have guys who can get on base, which is why we have 2 home runs and 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you go out and you re-sign these pitchers, and Corey Kluber, he's got 1 less year on his arm because he had Tommy John last year. Jameson Taillon, same way. But still, you go out and you get these pitchers, or you get there a either banged up or they're veteran pitchers and that kind of thing. And I've said from day one, you want to throw. I told my family, I said, if you want to throw it back to the last time Astros won the World Series, they had 3 very good starters: Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke. The Yankees need at least 2 of those starters, and 2 good starters is what I would say. But yeah, we definitely could rant about the Yankees.
Hey, you know what though? Just to make you guys feel a little bit better, you guys could be the D-backs, 52 and 110. I mean, you could be. So it always could be. It could always be worse.
Yeah, but because of the 27 championships that the Yankees have, there's that expectation.
Yeah, no. You guys do have a golden standard, and you're not living up to it. I completely understand. But I was trying to make the best out of a bad situation.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. 91 and 70 isn't a bad record. 92 and 70, whatever it was, isn't a bad record. But it's still underperforming in a lot of ways. I mean, there was teams we should have beat. Our offense started out slowly beginning of the year, and it shouldn't have. I don't know, but I want to go ahead and I guess real quick move into the divisional series. We'll go, I guess, Brewers, Braves, Dodgers, Giants, and then Sox and Rays, and then Sox and Astros. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, just real quick, who wins those series in y'all's opinion? Or do you even have one?
It's hard for me to predict. I can't just go out and wing things, but I'm confident in my Astros. That is my one confident pick. I'm confident in my Astros to beat the White Sox. I like us in that matchup. I mean, we're winning the first game already, so makes me pretty confident. And we won 2 out of our last 3 against the A's. I'm looking at that right now. So it seems like we're pretty hot right now. It seems like we are riding a quote-unquote hot hand, because we've won a lot of games recently. So, and we also have the 4th best record in the entire MLB. So that might speak for itself. I don't know. I'm not really, but yeah, that's the one series that I've got circled on my calendar. I can't speak for the rest of them.
And rightfully so, because they're your favorite team.
Exactly. So I haven't been really keeping up with the other teams, and I can't speak on that professionally. But obviously, Astros over the White Sox.
Yeah, real quick, in the NLCS, I like the Dodgers to get there. I think I love the story behind the Giants, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Dodgers have the better team. And then I love the Brewers. I love their bullpen. And then in the ALCS, there's 2 teams right now that are tied for first in the league in runs per game. That's the Rays and that's the Astros. I think they'll end up playing and giving us a very entertaining American League Championship Series.
I would love to see the Rays and the White Sox in the ALCS. I really would, just because there's.
Sorry, buddy.
But I just don't know. The White Sox really didn't make it out of the first round last year against the A's. Probably a good chance they don't make it out of the first round again this year. As much as you hate to see that,
I don't hate to see it. I love to see it.
I like in the ALCS. I'll go Rays and Astros again in the ALCS again this year. The NLCS, I like the Dodgers also. I think the Dodgers pitching is going to their starting pitching is going to come down to and just be better than the Giants pitching will be. It's hard for me with the Brewers and the Braves because the Braves have 2 really good starters back to back in Max Fried and Charlie Morton. So 2 really good, but their bullpen is terrible. And so the Braves have to clean up that bullpen, and you play the first 2-3 games in Milwaukee, so that's going to be hard. That one's a toss-up for me. I'm not really sure. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to roll with that one yet. I would love to talk more about this, but unfortunately, like I said earlier, we have to cut it short about 10 minutes early. We've got a very important interview going on in the station here in just a few minutes. So I was instructed by the station manager to cut it short. So, but thank you all so much for tuning in again on this glorious rainy Thursday evening in the high country. I hope you all have a fantastic week. And guys, I'm sorry, I'd like to do shout outs, but unfortunately not going to be able to do them tonight. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you for your support. We love each and every one of you. We can't wait to be back here with you on Thursday. Fall break next week, so campus will be closed, so no show Tuesday, but we will see you on Thursday. Thank you for listening to Sports Wrap presented by Eggers, and Eggers Law Firm right here in Boone. Have a great Thursday evening, everyone. We'll stay tuned as we bring you back to the local programming, and as always, roll Nears.